Namaskar and welcome to Ekaksha. My name is Zepolindas and today we are going to discuss part 2 of lesson number 4, My Land. In part 1, we have already discussed the poem in detail, and in today's session, we are going to discuss activity number 1, 2 and 3. So, let's start with our activity number 1. Activity number 1 says, let's check how much we have understood. Number 1, answer the following questions. So, activity number 1 is basically, in this activity, some questions are asked to check our understanding of the poem. So, let's look at the first question. Question number A. According to the poet, who are the bravest men? So, ইয়াত সুধিছে যে পয়েটৰ মতে ব্ৰেভেষ্ট আটাইতকৈ সাহসী মানুহ কোনবোৰ ব্যক্তি হয় সো ক্যান ইউ ৰিমেম্বাৰ while we are reading the poem আমি কি বুজিছিলো যে কবিয়ে কি কৈছিলে কবিয়ে কৈছিলে যে আমাৰ দেশৰ মানুহবোৰ পুৰুষসকল পৃথিৱীৰ আটাইতকৈ ব্ৰেভ আমাৰ দেশৰ পুৰুষৰ নিচিনা ব্ৰেভ পৃথিৱীত আৰু কোনো নাই যোনে দেশৰ কাৰণে নিজৰ জীৱন উৎসৰ্গা কৰিবলৈ কুণ্ঠাবোধ নকৰে so how we will write the answer see answer according to the poet the bravest men are those who fight for their country so who are the bravest men who fight for their country, who do not hesitate to sacrifice their life for their country. Okay, so note down this answer in your copy. So come to question number B. When will the poet consider his Lord divine? So, ইয়াত কবিয়ে কেতিয়া নিজকে সৌভাগ্যশালী বুলি অনুভৱ কৰে বুলি এই প্ৰশ্নটোত সুধিছে কেতিয়া কৰে in the last two lines of the poem where the poet is saying that if I get the opportunity to sacrifice my life to save my country, for my country, then I will consider it as my divine luck. Okay, so Kobi ketia koisile answer will be the poet will consider his Lord divine if he gets an opportunity to die to save his native land. Their native land their মাতৃভূমিক যেতিয়া সেভ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে নিজৰ জীৱন উৎসৰ্গা কৰাৰ যদি অপৰচুনিটি পায় তেতিয়া কবিয়ে নিজকে কি সৌভাগ্যশালী বুলি কনসিডাৰ কৰিছিলে ভাবিছিলে okay now come to question number C. How do you know that the poet loves his country? So, we know the poem is all about the poet's deep love and respect for his country, isn't it? So, from the very beginning towards the end and throughout the entire poem, we have seen that the poet is expressing his love, his deep emotion towards his country. So, আমি কেনেকুৱা পাইছিলো at the very beginning poet কি কৈছিলে নিজৰ country dear and rare বুলি কৈছিলে beautiful বুলি কৈছিলে fair বুলি কৈছিলে হয় না নহয় আৰু কি কৈছিলে তেও কি কৈছিলে আনকি এই country যিখিনি পুৰুষ আৰু নাৰী আছে সেই পুৰুষ আৰু নাৰী সকলো পৃথিৱীৰ আন সকলো পুৰুষ আৰু নাৰীতকৈ আটাইতকৈ বেছি সাহসী brave বুলি কৈছিলে so answer will be like this we know that the poet loves his country because he considers his country as the richest the rarest and the most beautiful land even ready to sacrifice his life to save his country so Kobiye the poet considers his native land, his country, to be the richest, the rarest, and the most beautiful land. And he is even ready to sacrifice his life to save his country. So from all this, we come to know that the poet loves his country. Okay, so come to the next question. What is the poem about? কবিতাটো কিহৰ বিষয়? কবিতাটো এটা দেশভক্তিমূলক কবিতা হয় না নহয়? It's a patriotic poem. So the poem is, see the answer, the poem is about the poet's deep sense of love and pride for his motherland. So এই কবিতাটো কবিৰ ভিতৰৰ পৰা অহা নিজৰ দেশৰ কাৰণে যি love, যি গৌৰৱ, love and pride মানে গৌৰৱ, তাৰ ওপৰতে এই গোটেই কবিতাটো based. Okay? Okay, now come to activity number 2. In activity number 2, it says, write T for the correct statement and F for the incorrect statement in the box near each sentence. So, you can see there are 5 sentences. These are statements based from the poem. So, you have to write if the statement is correct. If it is true, you have to write T, and if it is incorrect, it is false, then you have to write F. Okay, so first come to the first statement. A, the poet's native land is rich and rare. ইয়াত কি কৈছে? পয়েটৰ কবিৰ নেটিভ লেণ্ডটো ৰিচ আৰু ৰেয়াৰ বুলি কৈছে। হয়, আমি প্ৰথম ষ্টেঞ্জাতে কবিয়ে প্ৰথম লাইনটোতে ৰিচ আৰু ৰেয়াৰ বুলি নিজৰ কাণ্ট্ৰিক, নিজৰ নেটিভ লেণ্ডক কৈছিলে। So this statement is true or false? It's true. So we have to write T. Again, B, the women of the poet's native land are courageous. So the women of the poet's native land are courageous. Is it true? Of course, because the poet is saying that even the women of my country are not weaker. That means are not weak. That means they are also courageous, brave like the men of our country. Now come to C. The poet is in praise of the men and women of his native land. So the poet in this poem is praising the men and women of our native land. So is it true? Of course it is true, because he is saying that the men and women of our country is far more braver than any other country of the world. Okay, come to next. D. The poet will die to save his native land unwillingly. So here it is saying that the poet will die to save his native land unwillingly. So he is not willing. In this statement, it is saying that the poet is not willing to sacrifice his life. Is it true? No, it is false. Because the poet is saying that he will consider it as his divine luck if he gets an opportunity to sacrifice his life for his native land. Okay? So the last one, E. The poet does not love his native land. This is, of course, false. Isn't it? The poet certainly loves his native land. He feels proud of his native land and even ready to sacrifice his life for his native land. Okay, now come to activity number 3. So in activity number 3, it is saying that read the following explanations of the 2 stanzas of the poem given below. Identify and write the stanza number next to its explanation. So, in your textbook, you will see this 2 explanation. We know this poem is a very short poem and it has only 2 stanzas. And here, the explanation of those stanzas are given in 2 separate boxes. Okay, and you have to identify which stanza this explanation belongs to. Okay, so come to the first box. So here it is written, the poet says that men of his native land are braver than those of other lands. The women are courageous. The poet will die willingly to save his native land and will consider his lot divine if that happens. So, can you remember which stanza these lines belong to? Yes, this is stanza number 2. Okay, now certainly this will be the stanza number 1. Let's read. The poet is all praised for his native land. He says that his native land is rich and rare and fresh and fair, there and rare. He takes pride in the uniqueness of his native land. So, this is certainly the first stanza where the poet is praising his native land and he is expressing his deep love for his native land for its uniqueness. He considered it to be the rarest one, the most beautiful one and the most dear one. Okay, so this is stanza number 1. So that's all for today. See you in the next class with part 3 of the lesson where we'll discuss some other activities. Till then, take care and have a nice day.